Okay. Okay, yes, it's recording. Yes, it's,
Okay.
Okay, good. So Sue, the first thing on your list here is the gym, the snow removal.
Yep.
And Jim, I don't
Yep.
know. I mean, I'll leave this for the floor to talk about. I don't know what there is to discuss other than the fact that he was terrible and we can never hire him again for snow. My opinion, anyway.
Frank, Benny, do you want to start it or?
Yeah, well, I'll start there. I mean, it was a rough season. It was a monumental snowfall this year. And we, unfortunately, the first cleanup, we got caught on that one. Jim didn't perform properly, and that set the tone for the rest of the season, where we always were playing catch up and trying to be more proactive to the homeowners and out in the field ourselves and doing a lot of work. Mark, Bob, Susan, myself out, doing things.
Too much.
But
Yeah.
as things went on, it got better, and then when we left him alone, it got worse again.
you got it.
We found that when he's on site, things go better, and when he's not around, it's helter skelter. These guys don't know what they're doing, how to do it properly, so they really need to be managed more properly. Other than that, I mean, we all feel that Jim is gone at this point in time. If he's probably going to put a proposal in for a contract. Maybe he won't. Maybe he feels that it's just too much aggravation. We don't know that yet. He hasn't said one way or another. We have a couple other candidates that want to come in. The guy, his number one guy, Juan, who ran the plows and the salters, he seemed to be very conscientious and on top of things. Bob worked well with him. We all worked well with him. We found out now that he has 3 of his own Bobcats, where Jim was renting on an hourly basis as need, which was an issue because we all feel that even though he doesn't use the Bobcat a lot at Zone 1, which is the mid-rise of McGowan, we definitely need that 4th Bobcat in the community because Daly Court, that zone back there, Daly, Baker, Hoffman, and Barbara needs 2 Bobcats to run that zone because Daly Court is way, way too big to handle for one guy. It takes way too long. So we can talk about that later on. We're gonna have to. That's it on his performance, basically.
Well,
The other thing, anybody else wants to add to it? Go ahead.
I have
Bob.
something I want to add.
Well, I do too, but I'll let.
Okay.
So I think we all agree that it doesn't matter, no matter what happens, we can't hire Jim for snow removal ever again.
Correct.
Even for this with community issues and with residents, we have to just do this with someone else.
I think we had decided that back in
Yeah.
December, actually.
Well, bottom line is not only did Jim not really take an interest in it, but he left his guys out there, 2 separate crews, one of which doesn't even talk to the other.
Yeah.
There's no communication between the 2 crews, Jim's group and Juan's group. Because I was out there with Juan and I asked him if he could please tell the guys. He says he doesn't even know who these guys are. He doesn't communicate with them.
Yeah.
So I said, "Where's Jim?" He says he didn't know, he couldn't get him. So I mean, he really doesn't have interest in it, truthfully.
And he has no resources either. I mean,
No, he doesn't.
he
He
just
doesn't.
he really
wasn't
pulled the wool
capable
over our eyes on
of the
this.
job.
So the only
First
sorry,
of
the only
all,
remaining question.
anyone- I spoke to Joe from MJB, who told me flat out, anybody interested in doing snow removal already pegs and rents Bobcats for this season.
Yeah.
They do that before the snows come, so they have them available where they can't be taken out. Once they put the money down, those are their Bobcats. So if he was really interested and we told him 4 and he had 2, all he had to do was rent 2 and he would have had 4. He had no initiative, no interest in doing it. That just shows me that
What I
Jim's
do
Jim.
want to add is that a good friend of mine is on the board at Renaissance, which is a little bit south of here. He's been on the board, I think, 12, 14 years. And they had a snow contractor that they ultimately let go because they had a better price from somebody, and it was a disaster. But the guy that he has now, who they had for 6, 8 years, he swears by them. I don't know their name, but I will get the name for you, Susan, and see
Okay,
if we can get
good.
a price out of them. He said 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're up there with their big trucks and
Mhm.
cleaning the streets, and they did everything they needed to do. So it's
Good,
worthwhile
good.
getting a bid from them.
Well, and
Good.
that's my question. When do we start vetting snow contractors for
Now.
next year? Is it now?
Immediately,
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we shouldn't wait because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody had a miserable year this year with snow.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna try and capture snow removal for next year to lock it in.
I've
But
already
the-
asked Down to Earth to give us a bid. They are our new landscaper and they do snow removal at Plaza Grand with landscaping and other places. He gave us a bid last year. It was 72, like something. I have it on here.
Yeah.
And 72.5. I asked him if he would bid again. He said yes. So tomorrow I have a meeting with procurement at 11 and they want me to go over the contracts and snow is one of them. Joe from MJB, Bob and I can't get him. I haven't spoken to him since December. Bob hasn't either. So I don't think he's interested. And Juan came to my office yesterday.
Who was that?
and-
Was he the guy that was here doing the snow
Yeah.
work?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the one that ran the plow.
So Juan said that Jim has only paid him once this whole snow season, and it was in December, and that Juan can't pay his guys, and that Jim doesn't answer his calls. Juan even went to his house. He sees that they're home. Apparently, Jim's wife is a doctor. He says he has a big house and he doesn't understand why. And what Jim told him was that we're not paying him. That's why he can't pay Juan. So I didn't get into a lot of detail with Juan about it. Juan also told me some other stuff that I don't want to get into. I told Frank Benny, it's between him and Jim, but I said, what if we have another storm? Juan, are your guys going to be available? And even though you haven't gotten paid, and he said yes. And that's when he told me he owns 3 Bobcats and that Jim didn't want to get the 4th because he doesn't want to pay. And he did not even want to use Juan's Bobcats because he said it was too expensive. So he would rather rent them.
I don't know if I want to come near any of that going forward,
agree.
including one, to be honest.
I
Right.
agree.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I
Meaning
think,
what? Don't vet Juan?
No, I mean, you could vet them, but I don't know. We don't need this kind of stuff.
I
here.
agree.
Yeah.
and
It's
Susan, as I asked you today, we still
What-
don't.
what- let's take a step back.
Insurance he has.
Mark, why don't you want
What,
one?
Frank?
I mean, what's the problem with one? He was the only one, even from the first storm, that Jim's guys didn't show up. He was here. He was doing the major roads. He cleared them. He's the
I agree.
only person.
He's responsible. I agree. But
and
but
I
but
asked
he
him
also comes with
about it.
baggage, Bob. He comes with baggage that I don't know that we need for this community.
agree with you,
That's
Mark,
my
exactly.
problem. I'm not saying he's irresponsible, Bob.
Well, specifically what baggage?
Well, these
Yeah.
kinds of gossips, these kinds of discussions about his internal interworkings with Jim, this is not something this board needs to know about. This is the stuff. What else he's going to bring out of this? I mean, this is just my opinion. Obviously, you guys could all disagree with me.
Mark,
Well-
my opinion was that these people know what he looks like, and they're gonna associate him with Jim and the board doing this the second year in a row.
That too.
That's why I feel we can't get involved with him,
That's
like it
interesting.
or not.
Well, truthfully, if I could have gotten Joe, if Susan and I could continually trying, we don't have to tell Joe anything. I mean, he told me flat out. He has 4 Bobcats. He knows exactly where they are. He knows exactly where to start. No one has to tell him. He knows how to do things, and he's done it.
Yeah,
But who were the
so-
guys that we had that were always very good? I mean, they were,
That was MJB. That was Joe.
Yeah, he's
All right,
not
that's-
interested, Bob. We've been trying for 3
Yeah, I
months to
keep
get him.
trying. Unless
So-
there's something, I'm going to continue to try because my last conversation with him, I asked him if he would be interested in doing it. He said,
That was December.
absolutely yes. So
He said
I'm
that to
gonna
me
continue.
too.
Yeah, I'm going to
Well,
try again. to
Certainly,
keep
we should
working with
allow
it.
him to make a bid.
Mhm.
Yeah, he should bid anyway.
Yeah,
Now, listen,
Absolutely.
Listen, one thing
absolutely.
we gotta remember is this. anybody, a newbie coming into this community will mean a learning response.
We're out there.
Learn
Randy.
how to do this, and we will be out in the streets with them.
That's
working.
right.
Okay.
Hold on
So
a second. Let me ask a question. Susan, under D, are these bids that we've received for snow? Or for
Last year.
landscaping?
Those were snow bids from last year. I
Oh,
put them on
oh.
thinking it would be,
2020,
Oh.
21.
yeah, it would be
Yeah.
helpful.
And
I don't
did
think we're
send-
gonna see anywhere around these numbers this year.
I
I
think
did
it's gonna be up.
send, yeah, I
The
did
numbers are gonna
send
go up.
Joe the snow contract in December. And he said he was interested, but I don't think he's interested anymore either. He doesn't have the guys. I don't know, but I mean, we've called him so many times. I don't think,
Yeah.
Bob, that we're gonna get a response from him anymore.
And the
No,
other
I
thing
don't think
is,
so.
there was a shortage of personnel this year because of COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody was affected by it.
Yep.
Unusual amounts of snow this year. Frank,
Mhm.
maybe you can run a report if we're gonna have another snowstorm by zip code next year. What kind of fall, it's gonna be. But, we need to start immediately. I
Yeah.
think the more contracts that we receive, the better we're
Yep.
gonna be as a board. The procurement can do their thing, go through it, and we'll see where we end up.
And maybe Frank, we might consider in these bids, a seasonal bid as well as a per storm bid. And maybe think about going that way at some point. There were some people on the finance committee
Oh,
that suggested that over time, we've
Seasonal.
lost on the seasonal bid because we've paid the full amount for low snowfall.
Frank, I was all for that, but in
Mhm.
talking to somebody that does snow work,
Mhm.
what they said was, when you do it that way, you're not on the top of the list. So when it's a
Gotcha,
snowstorm, they're
gotcha.
not coming to us
In
first,
terms of a
which I
bid,
had not realized,
I understand.
because I agree with you. I thought that was the way to go
Yeah, but
also.
maybe, maybe there's something, listen, with Jim, last year, he made money for doing nothing. This year, he had a hell of a time getting us cleaned up. So he lost money or broke even. I don't really care. But that's the luck of the draw.
And keep in mind, we've
Homeowners,
already paid him $45,000.
homeowners they don't see the inner workings of a contract. And that is something that maybe we need to do. We'll bring it up later. I don't know if it's on, I have an old agenda here, but
That's fine.
we need to start educating. Not that we're a board, we're a board elected to take care of the community, make the decisions. We have a procurement committee that vets them out, and then we all make the decision against the budget.
Okay.
But I think we better be ready. Next year's budget is going to be
Mhm.
bigger than this year's for snow removal. Because all these guys got cut short and a major snowstorm, and they're going to want to try to cover their asses to make sure they get it.
Mhm.
Well, I just want to suggest that we move on, because we're not gonna really,
Yes, this is
at
not
this
to solve
point-
this tonight.
Okay,
Right.
Okay, I just want to.
there's one more thing on that item, though. Damage caused by the equipment.
I want to talk about that.
That's what we're gonna talk about that.
Big damage, big damage.
Really?
Well, we don't
Who's
know.
done,
Other than
Frank? I have no
grass.
clue.
Listen, a lot of grass. Big damage is a lot of grass, but we don't. I know of only a couple of cobblestones that were unearthed. It's the
What was
sprinkler.
damaged?
We
I
don't
see
know-
grass
We
by
don't
the
know
air.
what the damage is
What
until
we
they.
need to do.
Frank, did you
is
get a
sit him
chance?
down. What we need to do is sit him down and tell him wherever these big gaps and chunks of grass were ripped out, he can't just throw seed down and say he's repaired it. It's got to be to our satisfaction and what we're looking for. If he's got to bring in sod to fill it in, then that's what we're going to expect
Right.
from him to
Exactly
do the
right.
repair.
Frank Benintendo, I don't know if you got a chance to tap on the link that I sent with the invitation to this meeting.
No, I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah, something I put together, trying a little bit using Windows 10 video editor, okay? And I take a look when you get a chance.
I will.
Monday, I walked the development down to the bottom of the hill, down to Vince's house. I took 72 pictures. The video that I put out there only covers the first 24. This morning, I went out and did the other side of Bayberry, and that was 69 more pictures of clumps of grass, Some cases, it's only a handful. Other cases,
Oh, big swaths of it, big swaths. I see it. I walked there. You're right.
Hey,
Let me
So
ask
we
you a
need,
question.
we
As
have to
you
make
said
a, we have to
earlier,
make a list and give it up to them.
all
Didn't
of
they
our
just use shovels?
residents see this every day if they're out. We
Frank,
have to consider,
Didn't they just use shovels?
No,
When
they
they
ran
do
a
the sidewalks?
bobcat.
No,
Well,
no,
what-
no.
don't forget,
No?
back in December, the first storm, they used a different piece of equipment to do
Yes.
sidewalks, and it was effective.
What
This
was that,
time,
Bob?
I put this in the video. This time, I measured the sidewalk width, 48 inches. I went down to the clubhouse. There was still a bobcat there. I measured the shovel width. It was 66 inches. What
There's
that
two of them,
means is
Frank. One is
that
a bigger,
device-
one is a bigger bucket than
8
the other.
inches along each side that it was digging out turf.
Yeah, yeah. And not only that, you know what else happened? I lost my, hold on, guys.
No, we got you.
Yeah, but I don't have you. Keep going, guys.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay,
They're
but
too
I'm
big.
concerned about
He
the
has
damage.
two big, he has two bobcats. The buckets are different in size. One he could not use. He only used for the street or the driveways. The other, the smaller one, he used for sidewalks, which he was able to fit because he did it in a
Right.
lot of areas without chewing up grass. It's the person who was driving that bobcat was the issue. They're not experienced. They don't know how to do it. And they ran over into the grass areas. He had the
Yeah.
markers. They were
Right.
flinging his markers all over the place instead of following them to know where
Bob,
the
if
zones
you-
were, where
if you
exactly
truly
to stop.
walk and look at the pictures, what you're gonna see is both sides of the sidewalk have gouges.
Yeah. So listen, at this point, we know we have
Mhm.
massive sod damage. The contract reads that he's responsible for any sod damage.
We obviously can't
Landscaping.
pay him everything. We gotta hold back at
So that
least one
last payment,
installment.
the last payment doesn't go to him
Yep.
until everything is repaired to our liking.
Okay.
As
Mhm.
Vince
So
would say, liking
I-
fine.
Correct.
I
It has to be
emailed,
approved by us before. He
Right.
can't walk away with a box of seed and
I
say. it's
agree,
done.
and
I
that
agree.
payment may
That
not be
doesn't
enough.
work.
You don't think so?
Really?
We have to get an estimate. Susan
Wow.
was suggesting an estimate from our down-to-earth landscaping for them to go through, take a look, tell them to be reasonable, and give us a figure as to what it would be.
And then
Maybe
we
have to get involved with insurance companies.
also have to
I
get
wonder-
we have to hold
Is-
money back. When does irrigation go up? Is he responsible? I know I have a sprinkler head in front of my house that's laying on its side.
so I emailed Jim a couple weeks ago. I forwarded it to you guys. Frank, I put your sprinkler head. I put the Belgian blocks on cement, and I also put 2 Hernandez, and I included the grass and the turf. Jim doesn't respond ever to the emails, so I called him, and he didn't say anything except that he wasn't going to fix the steps on 2 Hernandez because he didn't feel that he caused the damage. And with the grass and the turf, he wants to fix it. He doesn't want us to have the landscaper fix it and deduct it from him. And he was pretty strong on that. Bob was actually in the office
Mhm.
when we were talking to him. So, but I still am going to bring down to earth in because Jim is not a landscaper. You know, he doesn't.
It's not
I'm
his
sorry.
area of expertise.
Yeah.
So for him to come up with the figure on sod,
Yeah.
it's the wrong person.
Correct.
No,
So,
that he can't lay sod down unless we have irrigation up,
right.
That's
Exactly.
correct.
right?
I've
And
already
we don't
spoken
even know how much damage we have on irrigation until
That's
all
what
the
I'm saying.
snow
We have to wait.
melts.
You're right. And
Yeah.
to Frank's point, maybe the last payment's not going to be enough. We don't know.
Right.
And we have to consider the cleanup of the mess that's out there now.
Yep.
Mhm.
If the snow is still there, not everything is even melted
know,
yet.
I
Well,
know,
that's
but
what I'm saying. We have to wait.
It's slowly leaving, but
Yeah.
there's a
Mhm.
lot that's visible and that you can see.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
got a lot of complaints about his damage of
Well, he
landscaping
did
from
terrible. It's
residents.
just-
Yeah.
First it was the coronavirus and now it was M6. Think about it.
Okay, the last topic in this one snow removal was communication to residents. I'll just say that I think I think we did very well.
So do I.
We gave out a lot more information than I think we have to going forward.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
we don't have to give them blow by blow and tell them
Right.
where certain equipment is.
Mhm.
I think we need to hold back on that as well, because
Mhm.
once you say something, then they're looking in those areas. You know, we could mitigate the issues when they come in, but I think by and large we had to do it this time only because of the first snowfall, and we felt that it was a necessity to give
And
everybody.
M6 still being a
information.
disaster.
So with all that
Mhm.
said, we have work to do on snow removal. And, you know, as soon as we should start immediately, because that contract, it needs to be done, and the sooner we get guys in, we have a better chance of getting somebody to sign up with us.
Yeah.
Other
And
than-
Mark, I think
We already-
typically, I'm sorry, so just one second. I think typically we signed the snow contract, what, September?
Mhm.
No, or before then?
No, in the early fall.
Okay, so September, October.
I
Yeah.
think we can
Well,
get it.
one thing I think, I don't know.
We want to try to beat other contractors.
Yeah. Yes. The good thing this year is that we have, I'm very excited, on the procurement committee, we have two really strong homeowners. We have David Weiner, whose job was just contracts. And we
Cool.
have Bill Keeley, who's excellent at finding contractors. So tomorrow I have the meeting with them, and I know the two of them are going to be a huge help.
Great.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable to move on for now, guys, or?
I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with number one.
Just,
We-
just want to give you a heads up. My phone was ringing. I had to run out for a second. Sanal called me. He's coming on Saturday.
They don't know who Sanal is, Bob, so maybe at the end you want to talk about it.
I just wanted to say why I had to run out for a second.
Okay.
Sanal's the one who's an IT guy who was trying to fix our gate.
Oh, okay.
So he's coming back on Saturday for his final attempt to get it functioning.
Gotcha.
So just a heads up.
All right. So number two on the list, in case you guys don't have it, is emergency repair procedures review.
Mhm.
Yep,
So what's that all about?
that's just basically
leaks.
wanted to go over how we handle roofs. Whenever there's an emergency, I have Jim's guys go, if somebody says they have a roof leak, I don't, Jim's guys have to go take a look to make sure it is a roof leak, because it's not always. And if it's raining or water's coming in the house, we always do an emergency repair without a proposal. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we are doing what Frank Benny wants. Now, Frank Benny's house is by far the worst one. Sorry, Frank, that we've
Okay.
seen in years with the leaks. So Tri-County sent proposals, but I don't know if you guys are aware, and I don't know if Frank, if you want me to even say that they worked on your house. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's about it. So this is a the old saying, three is not a charm.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I have about $8,000 worth of damage inside the house.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the early estimates. It's probably gonna be close to 10 by the time the mitigation.
What'd you say, 15?
About close to 10,000. Yeah. But they had to rip walls down. This is the third time it's happened.
Mhm.
I was in past years. I know when I get icy like this, I go outside and I clear the gutter. We have problems throughout the community with freezing liters, ice from the ground all the way up to the top. And we've had this year, because of the ice stands, we've had a lot of water intrusion from that. In my case, Tri-County came out and he looked, and I was out talking to him, and I don't think what he was saying was right. Jim came out. He sent his guys up in the snow, which I'm glad, but at the same time I was nervous because the guy standing on the ladder trying to fix this, put a patch in there, and he did. I haven't had any more water come in, but I did get secondary water coming in after they dried the house out. And in a way, I told Bob I'm glad it happened. He said, well, because I was finally able to see exactly where the intrusion was coming from because the walls were down. So it's not what Tri-County is saying. And of course he bragged, oh, my repair work is the best. Well, your repair work didn't work this time, I'm sorry to say. So, I'm going to look at it and see we'll look at the contracts, see what has to be done. So you guys know, I sent details out and pictures to my son as an architect, and his recommendations are similar to what Jim is saying. He thinks that's the cause. No one's gonna know. You know, I haven't started repairs inside because the insurance company wants to make sure that the outside is repaired first. So that's the story with me, you know, and
So Frank, your vote is anti-Tri-Counties.
well, I haven't read the whole thing. There's two proposals of Tri-County. One, he thinks it's coming in from this behind the siding itself into the house. I don't think that's the case because I've seen the water come through from nothing to immediately, and it's coming from the one spot that I always talk about.
The
The
ice.
problem is, not to bore you guys, but there's two roof lines, and I think 11 Seaman had a similar. 11 Hernandez, he
Yeah.
had similar. Schindelheim, who's a mirror of me, he had an icicle hanging from that same spot, 3 feet long. He had no water going in. I don't know why, but it seems like there's too much water
Mhm.
that comes off the roofs into a gutter 1 foot long by 6 inches. It can't handle it. And then when it freezes,
Mhm.
the pressure sucks, when it starts to melt, sucks the water in under the ice pack, under the shingles into your home. That's a natural thing that happens. I think it's going to happen is, and I've heard it twice, even from Tri-County, he didn't say it, but we talked about, may have to put a gutter guard, not a gutter guard, but a wire up there that I'll have to plug in during the season, that if I get ice pack, it'll melt it sooner and keep the water going.
Yeah.
This is because what's going to happen is it's going to happen again. I'm going to have to live through this one more time, and it seems like it's happened in the other areas in the community. We don't, that side of the house, like it's no sun at all, so it just stays frozen forever.
Now
Yeah.
Jim has that in his proposal, doesn't he?
I think he does.
The
Yeah,
freeze
Yeah.
buster, the
Yeah.
freeze
Yeah.
buster thermocube.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Tri-County,
Nah, he didn't put it in there.
He didn't put it in.
We
Talk
talked
about
about
that
it. He said
as
you
well.
can do that after the fix, but you know,
Oh.
it's a simple wire. It goes to an outlet. You know, I plug it in, and then that's it. You know, and then when the temperature is warm, it's
it
off.
operates based on temperature.
It's a
Yeah,
thermostatic.
I think it should be done on certain homes, including yours, Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll get through it. Luckily, the spring is coming, you know, and
Yeah, thank
I'll get
God.
past this.
So do we at this point approve one of those?
Let me look at the proposals and see if it's written up with my knowledge and what I spoke to him about, what I saw, and make sure it's right before we jump on it. It doesn't have to be done today. We had all this rain the
Yeah.
other day.
Sent those
No
today.
water came in, fine. So let's.
But it only happens when it snows. You don't have it when it rains, so.
No, it doesn't happen
kind
when
of
it rains.
obvious.
But I'll tell you, when it rains, I have a waterfall hits that gutter
Yeah,
and
well,
it comes down like a friggin' fountain coming down.
yeah, a lot of us
Yeah.
have that, but
So
you
there's
don't have
other
what
things
you
have to be
have.
done.
You gotta get a
Anyway,
pro to figure this
Yeah.
thing out.
Yeah.
tough one. This is a tough one. Anyway,
Sue, how about if we move on to your number 3 here?
yes, let's do that.
Unless, I think I should just leave the ball in your court on that one because it looks like you want to give us a summary on what's going on.
Yep. So as I said, tomorrow I'm meeting with procurement at 11 to go over the contracts for the year. They want to know procedure because some of them are new to the procurement committee. We're going to talk about snow. We're going to talk about the pool. I've been trying for a month to get an appointment with Candlewood. They finally got back to me today at 4 o'clock. His availabilities for next week to talk about the pool. Colleen Harless reached out to me last night asking if we were going to open the pool. I said, we don't know yet. I said, are any of your clients opening? She says, no, not yet. Everybody's waiting to see. So we'll know next week from Candlewood once I coordinate a time with procurement. And if any board members want to join it too. There's some contracts that we're going to have to approve at the end of this month at the HOA meeting. One of them that I wanted to talk to you guys about was M6 for maintenance. We had Rescom prior and they were not good. Residents were not happy. They were not experienced. They were more like handyman. One thing I will say, Jim's guys are excellent at maintenance. He's super flexible. We don't have any complaints. I don't think you guys ever hear any complaints either about maintenance. I would like to keep him for maintenance. I think he's that's his talent. So, and there's
So-
also not as many maintenance companies. Last year, me and Ann vetted some. I told you one wanted us to bring a car in for them, and
Yeah.
so I would like to keep Jim if you guys are okay with that.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, Susan, though.
Yeah,
Maintenance contracts over the past X number of years always were based on an hourly rate for the maintenance person. Now, I
Mhm.
know Jim doesn't use one person. He
Right.
uses various people at various times. What I
Mhm.
want to know is he increasing the hourly rate? How does a proposal relate to what our past cost was? I noticed recently you approved something that was charged to the maintenance contract, when in fact, the maintenance contract is only for Jim's person. And so.
did I put the wrong thing? Was it for supplies, or
It
I
was-
might have made a mistake, Frank?
Well, what I did, Susan, I rejected it and I sent the item to
I'll
you,
take a look.
asking you what GL to use.
Okay, I'll
I
take a
think
look
it-
at
I
it.
think It was Edison Heating and Cooling's visit to the clubhouse that you.
Oh, that was a mistake then. Yeah, I made a mistake then.
Not a
So,
problem.
Is anybody in favor of M6 for the
I
maintenance?
just want to say, keep.
Yeah, they're fine for
I
that.
want to know if they're
Absolutely.
increasing their
Right.
amount. Or
So
just-
I spoke to Jim about it, and he's very slow to get proposals. I spoke to him again today. And, you know, he says he normally has like a 3-year contract. We gave him a 1. He's gonna look to see what the cost will be. I said we didn't budget for an increase. He promised he would let me know by Monday, and I'll stay on top of him with that.
when-
We get more out of him than we did with Rescom. So we pay
Yeah,
one lump sum. Jim will come sometimes 4 times a week. He'll sometimes bring 4 or 5 guys, and Bob is a witness to that. So very different than Rescom, whereas Rescom was only 2 days a week. If you want more than 1 guy, I'll charge you by the hour, which we never did. But so Jim is a lot more flexible, and he doesn't charge us those extras. And I think, Bob,
Yeah,
you could attest to that too.
So,
absolutely.
can I ask a question? Sorry, Frank,
Yeah.
can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
So only because it's M6 and how
Yeah.
everyone is sensitive around the M6 in general around this community,
Mm.
do we at least want to vet someone else? So if anybody asks the question, we could tell them that we vetted others?
Yes, I think we should do that.
Good point.
Okay,
Good
I'll
point.
bring in another company.
Yeah, 1 or 2 more. And, you know,
I also, can I add
the other
something?
thing
on?
also is, with Jim M6, I think we all agree to this, that, once spring comes, he's gonna finish the baker and the daily and whatever else needs to be done, and then that'll be over, and then he'll be out of here for snow, and then he'll only be
Yeah.
maintenance. So
Mhm.
that'll show some movement away from him and should
Yeah.
help us.
Correct,
in-
correct.
in adherence.
Mark,
Okay, thank
having
you.
not
What I'd
been on
like
the
to
board
bring up,
before,
What I'd like to bring up, Susan, is
Mhm.
when we vetted MEM Property Management 4 years ago,
Mhm.
Marty said that there was there was a report that could be done on maintenance, such as what Jim's person is doing. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if there's a possibility that we could have reports run as
Sure.
promise could be done, so we can see what's
Mhm.
happening and we can evaluate what's
Sure.
happening. You know,
Yeah,
we'll-
I'll run the
Does that make
reports.
sense what I'm asking?
Yep, I'll get you the reports by Monday at the latest.
Sorry, Vin, what did you want to say? Vin?
what I was gonna say was that, when Susan had
Yeah.
contractors who would bring individuals in, they
Mhm.
usually were rookies. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. And, only once we had a really good one in the last 4 years before M6. And then that guy was so good, they gave him a promotion and he left
Yeah.
the
Right.
community.
And Vin, I have nothing against Jim when it
No, no,
comes
I
to
know you don't. No, no.
maintenance. I just want to make sure that we cover our backs in
No,
case
you're
of
right.
questions
I'm
asked.
just saying, at least for this contract, I'm in favor of M6, but I certainly understand what you're saying.
One other thing to keep in mind about M6 is when he does the maintenance and we need roofing or we need something else, he does have the expertise within his own people to do that.
You're right.
If for a company like Rescom, they couldn't do it. They had to bring somebody else in, which was an additional cost. So keep that in mind as we review this too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct, Bob.
Because
And
Jim
over
has the.
over time,
to bring
M6,
those people in.
over time, Rescom at one point or another did have a good person. But as Susan
Yeah.
said, when it got too good, they moved on to something else. And that's
Yeah.
the problem with them. We had one guy 1 year with Rescom who refused
I
to do
can't-
certain things. He said that was not in his area of expertise.
Mhm.
For a handyman type of thing, for maintenance, we need somebody
Right.
that can do it all. And
Yeah.
Jim, because he uses multiple people, not the same person all the time,
Right.
he has that strength that he can get somebody that's going to do the job correct.
Correct.
Same thing with roof leaks. He's just so reliable. When somebody has water coming in their house, they don't want to wait to say, oh, well, a roofer is going to come out in a week from now. They want it immediate. And and I have to say, Tri-County, multiple times since I've been here, like I'm going to use 18 Jensen, for example. He came out 3 times to fix the same roofing issue on her house. And she was really upset. With Jim, he's never had to come back again
That's
after he
true.
fixed her roof. So I just think that's important to
Correct.
say.
And I think there's another thing that we need to be mindful
Mhm.
is that the lowest bid is not always the best bid,
Right.
and the homeowners have to understand that.
Right.
Even if they see other bids that are less money, if
Mhm.
they're an unknown commodity or they have a bid, whatever, the low bid is not always the best bid. It's just
But by
No.
the same
I
token,
agree
I
with
think-
that, and I
I
also.
think we have to
wanna
check out
say-
references in many cases that we
Mhm.
don't.
We do.
Yeah,
We do check out references though.
we do.
We do. Even with landscaping, I personally went with Marie D'Angelo driving around New Jersey, looking at places they do. So we definitely do look at
I
references.
understand what you're saying, but then why have we been burnt?
Because
So-
everybody gives a good reference. Nobody gives a bad reference.
it's like, hey Frank, do you
To be
read the
honest.
testimonials on Amazon? Do you believe every testimonial on Amazon?
Yeah.
Those testimonies are bogus, just like a reference is bogus.
Yeah.
So Susan, I have a general question for you. So
Yeah,
whose
sure.
job is it to keep up with all the contracts and the timing and making sure that we start negotiating and vetting on time? Is it the procurement committee? Is it your job or is it our job? I'm trying
It's-
to understand the process
it's-
for that.
So it goes like from me to procurement, and then you guys make the decision.
Right, no, I understand that, but I just want, because I see a lot of red items in your spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and I don't know if we're already falling behind on some of these things.
We're
Well,
not
we have
falling
two-
be,
You gotta look at the dates. I mean, I think
we're not
Mark's point-
falling behind. There were certain things that I just wanted to point out, like with BH Security. They're doing a great job. And I know from Bob also, to switch to another company, they're gonna give us a proposal. I can definitely get bids. I mean, we got bids a couple years ago. I used to get a lot of bids, like 6, 7 bids. Because we used to bid so much, not a lot of companies want to give us bids anymore. But I personally want to keep BH Security. I know Bob does, but
Yeah,
I'll get bids on it.
Mhm.
For the gym, Ocean Fitness, he charges us $150 every 3 months. We're not going to find cheaper than that. So there's only some of them that I feel like
Okay.
we don't have to bid. Like, I don't think for the gym, we have to bid. Especially since the gym is closed. If you want me to bid on Ocean Fitness, it's a $600 yearly contract.
I
It's
know.
small.
Doesn't
I
make any
can.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
There's almost no one that does it anymore.
yeah,
That's the whole
exactly.
issue.
And they do a good
It's
job. We
very
don't have a
few
lot of
do it.
maintenance.
To follow up
Yeah.
on Mark's point, so you're telling me
Yeah.
that we only have we have 2 for April 1st, which we have 30 days, less than 30 days to either
Mhm.
to go or not go.
Uh-huh.
And then we have B&H, which is May 1st. And then the others are,
Later in the year.
well, wait a minute. No, you have one that expires March 30th, Cali Pest Control, right?
Callie's, they
Oh,
gave
21.
us so last year, I don't know if you guys remember, they gave us a proposal, and we said we were going to stay with Callie's. They've been here forever, and their price is good. They don't even charge us for the clubhouse. But if you want me to get others besides Callie's, I could do that.
Well,
So,
the question is whether we want to do this and whether we like the service that these current contracts provide. But what is it
We
our
do.
obligation in terms of the process? So I mean, it's hard to defend our position sometimes when some residents are complaining and they're suggesting that we're not doing enough due diligence on these things. So
mhm.
are we picking and choosing which contractors we like and we're not gonna get any other bids versus others that we're not? Like, I'm trying to understand how we get to that ground where we could have a definitive position to defend in case
So
if we
the-
need to.
So the procurement committee last year, and what they're gonna do also, we're gonna talk tomorrow. I meet with them and then they have a discussion and, you know, like, I'm gonna use Darlene Rude because she's been on procurement for a long time. If there's a company that's good, they're like Geese Chasers. They're reasonably priced. There's not a lot of companies out there and we don't have an issue with, you know, geese species. She says, why do we have to constantly bid every couple of years? So they will
Just
say,
to-
you know, I want to stay with these companies. So, and we do announce that. I don't, besides M6, nobody, not to my knowledge, has complained about a contractor staying with
Well,
us.
it's always
Unless you guys
snow.
know.
It's always snow and it's always the snow irrigation landscape.
Landscaping,
Irrigation,
landscaping.
irrigation, yeah. I get a lot on why don't we bid for irrigation? Marie D'Angelo's big on irrigation too.
So
So,
my suggestion is, should we have some policy in place that depending on the size of the contract,
mhm,
because dollar amount of the contract, maybe we get bids on something large enough, but when you're talking about a smaller contract, and if the service levels are still good, we don't need to
Right.
do that. Like,
Right.
but I want to have a defendable position for this conversation.
Yes.
It's hard to just say, oh, we like this contractor and that's why we didn't bid anywhere. Well, somebody else may not like him. So, and that's the decision that we need to make as a board to have a defendable position in these situations.
what if we
That's-
had some of the contracts longer than a year? Like some of them could be 2 years. Like for example, Cowleys, they do a great job on the mid-rises. In the 4 years that I've been here, we've only had one mouse. So I attest that to them doing a good job in one of the mid-rises. So instead of maybe a yearly, maybe we could do every 2 years, and it'll help us also when we go to bid, because then the vendor will say, well, I gave you a bid a couple of years ago, just like we ran into with the power washing. I don't want to give you another bid now because I know you're going to say no. Are you guys open to some of them being
Yes.
more than a year?
Yes, because that's it, the perception is the perception is you have a multi-year contract, that means you've gotten a break.
Mhm,
It's the
okay.
people that don't know that's not true, always true.
Right,
But
right.
the perception is, well, they must have gave you some benefit by keeping them on for a 2-year contract, 3-year contract. And every one of our contracts, we have to put the clause in there, says we have the right to cancel anytime we want.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's our out. If they do a bad job on a multi-contract, we get rid of them.
Right.
Go next, right?
Right. Okay.
So
All right,
why,
let's move
why,
on. Otherwise, we're
I'm
never
just
gonna.
curious. So
we're
we
never gonna do
always do 1-year contracts? I didn't even realize that.
Not necessarily.
that. Yeah,
Some of them, yeah, some of them
Landscaping-
have more, like
landscaping-
BH
Most of them are
Security has a
1-year
longer
contracts.
one.
most of them are 1-year contract.
Yeah,
Not all
BH
of them.
Security is a couple of year. They normally do a 5-year. We did a 3-year with we had that guy Richard before. I forgot the name of the company. But this is a huge upgrade with BH Security.
We also had
And-
CSS who failed us terribly.
If I recall, for B&H, we changed the equipment we were using also.
Yep.
Yes, all of it. All the gates are
Right.
new.
In
All
a
the
way,
gates.
we're tying-
Oh, that was the other reason. Bob
Warranty.
just said it. We have a warranty with the gates with BH Security. That was another reason that we wanted to stay with them
Mhm.
for another year, because how long is the warranty again, Bob? I have to look it up. I forgot.
It's 1 year on parts and labor.
Okay.
On
But I
the-
will still get 2 more bids. I have a million companies for security. It's not a problem.
Yes.
So getting back to Mark's point, do we want to
Yeah.
put a dollar value in when we need to get multiple bids, regardless if we like them or not?
Yeah.
So what is the dollar amount? Is it
I'd say-
3,000,
I
5,000?
I say 50,000.
The question becomes,
There's only two contracts that are above 50. I mean, if you're joking, I don't know, but
Yeah.
most of them are less than that.
Well, there's one for 10,000 here. That's Geese Control.
all right, well, let me
I
ask
actually
you a
like-
question. To
I
go
actually like
to
the idea of a 3-year contract, but 1 year first with the option to renew it for 2. Because if we don't like that person after the first year, We don't
Right.
want to be, we're supposed to be at M6 on a 2-year contract. We'd have been screwed.
Right.
Sorry,
Right.
Bob, go ahead.
We got
That's
stuck.
okay.
Good
Go to
idea,
your point,
Vince.
Mark.
Option to
I
renew.
agree on that, but how do you go ahead then and bid, let's say if it's a higher price bid, you get 3 bidders and you decide to take somebody who's not necessarily the lowest. Now you're gonna have to turn around and defend why didn't you take
You're
the
right.
lowest?
It's a double-edged sword. You're right.
So you're gonna step into a bear trap no matter what you do. My
Oh.
only concern is when you have a company, for instance, like BH, after being burned, and Frank knows, I've been involved with Gates for 15 years.
Yeah.
I've been burned so many times because people don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. They don't know the software which we have, which is antiquated, and they're working with us because they at least know it. I would hate to have to bid it out and then have somebody come back and say, well, why did you do that? Because the other one was lower. The reason is because they've proven themselves to be quality and do the job right. And the pricing, well, was good pricing.
But Bob,
You can
cost
best
is only
defend
one
yourself.
component of the bid, right? I mean, we're not
Yeah.
suggesting that we should get the lowest bid all the time. That's
No,
not
I
the suggestion.
understand that.
But
the
no,
people
Bob's saying that
are going
the
to
homeowners think we
complain
should.
those are the people that they're going to attack the first item that comes up is price.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's one other thing that came up from all the craziness this year was performance and accountability.
Mhm.
And we hold, like in our contracts, we can talk, this is a subject for another time. Our contracts, and Mark and I, we talked about it. We all talked about it. We have a standard contract. We still don't have that. Where we give you we give the vendor the contract, they can overlay on top of ours. But we need to talk about performance, accountability, and what recourses we get if the performance isn't up to standard. I mean, we need to think about that. That's not for now, but we should be talking about
In
that.
other words, we have to evaluate the work that's being done by our contractors.
Yeah.
If there's too many red marks against them, then we have to look elsewhere.
Well,
Every
no,
one of our
that's not only the
contracts
point,
should
Frank.
have
That's looking
clauses.
elsewhere, future.
Yeah.
But what is our recourse during the contract? Are we allowed to penalize them 10% of the back end payment for non-performance properly? You signed the contract, you didn't meet your performance standard compliance. Therefore, I'm paying for something that I didn't receive indirectly. So you're
We
not
put that
getting-
in landscaping. Yeah, we put that in landscaping this year.
I think
which
we
is
need to
good.
move-
But
we need to
every
move-
contract should have a performance clause in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially the larger ones, especially
Big
the
ones, the
larger
big
ones.
three.
Yeah.
Everyone.
The big 3 or 4, whatever they are, irrigation,
Yeah.
sprinkler, landscaping, stuff. There's the 4 big ones.
And
Those
Yeah.
guys need to
I
have
agree.
it because they're very visible to the community, and
Mhm.
we take the most heat for pool, irrigation, landscaping, snow removal. Those
Which is what
4
I've been suggesting all along, that we need to have our own contracts written for these big
Mhm.
3, 4, that we
Yeah.
can then give out to the bidders and let them bid on those contracts, rather
Yeah,
than
and that
us.
way, it'll make performance's job easier too.
We need a boilerplate, Mark.
Yeah,
You're right.
we do.
That's exactly what we need is a.
So we don't need to
boilerplate
send it to
contract.
Giamma every time we
Really.
get a new contract from a new
Correct.
vendor and pay legal fees for that.
Agree with you 100%.
Okay, so
Are we good?
Yeah,
Good.
I'll update you guys
Because
tomorrow
we're
after
never gonna
procurement.
get done at this speed, just.
All right, there's a 3B. What was your thoughts on that? A meeting in the future?
Yeah, that was Frank Benny asked me to put that
so-
on.
I'll speak to this. So we canceled an open meeting tonight because we haven't met as a group for a long time, and we really need to get ourselves back in sync, what we want to do, what we want to plan for the future. That could be another workshop meeting. I think we as a board need to have goals for ourselves, and like contract is one we just talked about, and some other things that we may want to do. I also think it's we used to have open sessions after our closed session where people would come, but maybe it should be a meeting that we invite the homeowners in. Not that it's like, not meet your board or share your ideas with the board. Let them come. It's an hour. They can send in there what they want to meet with us. You get up, they speak, we listen to it. We don't have to give them a solution. We say under advisement, and we get back to them. That way they may feel that there's more transparency and we're more approachable.
But Frank, are you saying that just open it up from, once we get done with our general meeting?
No, a separate meeting, maybe
Just for the
once every
homeowners.
3 months, for the homeowners to come in and sit. Now, the same thing is true for the board, for the chairs. We don't really know what goes on in these committees. We talked last year about maybe one of us should shadow a meeting from time to time or see what's going on. I think we should have the chairs maybe twice a year come to us in the beginning of the year and say, okay, you're a chair. What is your committee going to do this year? What issues and problems do you see in the community that you want resolved or we should look at? And then we put them on a path. Otherwise, they're sitting back doing nothing other than finance and procurement, which works the hardest.
Right.
But so we have no landscaping committee. We don't have a snow removal committee. We don't have, I don't know how many other committees that we don't have. We
Irrigation.
don't have anybody.
Right.
And we need to bring the
Well, keep
community
Keep
in.
in mind, Frank.
You know, they complain all the time that we're not doing the job, but you know what?
I know.
HOA is run with volunteers on the committee level as well as the board level. And we need to try
Keep
to,
in mind, we're still under COVID. So it's not like we can have people
Problem.
come in and sit down,
You're right.
and watch us, because this is how we're operating.
well, it's okay. Listen, I go to board meetings outside here on a state level, a county level, and there was a land board use meeting this last month. There was 150 people, taxpayers, that got on Zoom, and we watched the board work, talk about it. We heard the lawyers talk, and then they open up publicly for an hour. Get all your questions in, and they moderate. No, you said that. It was sorry. We need to, I think, bring the community into us, with us. And I think that'll alleviate some of the animosity about us, and they'll get to know us better, and they'll participate. And then it's a recourse that we can say, wait a second, you complain all the time. Do you go on a committee? Do you come to an open meeting? Do you come to HOA? Do you raise your hand? No. Shut that up and be done with it. We need to quell this coalition anti-board mentality.
I agree with you to an extent.
Good.
It's the same number of people
Mhm.
that complain all the time. Nobody else complains. There's just a group of people whose intentions are not to be constructive, but to be destructive. They're
You're
the ones
right,
that complain
Vince.
all the time.
You are right, but I don't listen. I don't believe that we'll ever, and I don't plan to ever change those people's minds. But there is a lot of new homeowners in this community that have moved in the last couple of years with COVID. They don't even know who we are. They
Why don't we
know us.
why don't we invite new homeowners?
No, invite everybody. Let's segregate. Make it a family. I think
I totally agree
we're
with
not going to
Frank.
solve this right now, but we should think about it and do it
All right,
Well,
because I think it's important. I mean,
all right.
you're correct, but again,
I-
on that item B about committee chairpersons, should we at this point tonight plan either through the whole board or through subcommittees of the board to meet with one or more of the committee chairpersons?
I think we should. Let's get a feel how well it's gonna work.
Listen, I think we should do this. Why don't we just have a Zoom meeting, an hour meeting, put a limit on it, have all the chairs come to the Zoom meeting, and we want to, okay, we're here tonight to hear, you're a chair. What do you see your committee doing? And maybe in the email that goes out, say, be prepared to bring homework, to say what you're going to do with the committee, what problems do you have, what do you see?
And where do you
Because
need
ultimately what
assistance from the board? Yeah.
What?
And where do you need assistance from the board and for your committees?
Right.
Exactly right. We're here to be, you want us to
I think
come
it's
to
a good
your
idea. We
meetings?
should
Sounds
set
good.
that up after the homeowner meeting.
Yeah, that's the first start. Maybe we start with the committees and bring them in, because, we know
It's a
we
nice
have a,
idea to announce at the homeowner meeting too, that
Yeah.
we're gonna do that. Give it a
when
shot.
is our next HOA meeting?
Maybe
Susan?
2 weeks after the March meeting at the
It's
end of
the end of March.
something
I
like
have to take a look again. Is it
Alright.
March 30th? I'll confirm. It's on my calendar, but I'm on my phone, so I can't look it up right
Yeah,
now.
I think what we should do is announce some of these new protocols or what we're gonna do at the HOA. So
Right.
everything's there, They
Right.
hear about it in March, and then we execute in April. you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
And we can talk about whatever we want to talk about.
I mean, today is March 3rd. I mean, we
Mhm.
still have 4 weeks until the HOA meeting. I
Yeah,
mean, we
March
could meet, we
31st.
could meet with these chair people before the HOA meeting.
Yeah, we could.
True.
2
We
weeks
could do
from now.
18th or
Met
something
with
like
their
that,
own
2 weeks ahead
committee.
of time.
Mark's
Before
right.
you have them, they come meet with us. Have they met with their own committees to start with?
Well, it doesn't matter if they did or not, but we know we can, if you're a chair, listen, we know who the chairs are. We only have what? How many committees?
Yeah.
I don't have my list with me.
I
I
have it
have
here.
it.
It's one, we have, so the Alternative Dispute Committee, it's Raisa, Frank Schinzelheim, and John Gargano.
We
I
don't
don't
need them.
believe, yeah, I don't, exactly. Architecture Committee, Tommy
Tommy.
and Bill Keeley. It's usually Tommy who's the chairperson, but I'll have to follow up with them to see. The Clubhouse Committee is Tom DiNardo and Jack. Tommy's the chairperson of that. Finance is Raisa. Gate and Security, David Wiener's the only one on, so it's him by default. Landscaping is Marie, she's the only one on. Procurement has not met yet. They're gonna meet tomorrow for the first time. I don't know who the chair is yet. Social Committee is Judy with Angela as the co-chair. We don't have anybody, any other committees.
Should we meet with the chair people 2 weeks from now, the whole board and all of those chair people?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think
what's
Get
so.
a general feel.
Okay.
Mark, you had suggested, I think, last year, rather than Friday meetings, to do like Thursday evening. You
Yeah.
want to
Yeah,
get
that
2
makes
weeks
more
from now,
sense.
like a Thursday evening type of thing?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
What's that date?
The 18th.
18th.
18, 3/18?
Yep.
Okay.
at what time? 6?
6:30, whatever works for you
Yeah.
guise.
Yeah,
6?
yeah, let's get started.
Okay.
6, yeah.
And then the other thing also is because we're gonna come out of COVID. I'm a half full glass guy. I think we're gonna be coming out of COVID sooner than later. It's happening now around the country, and so we should be prepared. Like we talk about the pool, we should have a conversation. We don't have to do it tonight, but we should have a conversation. It's gonna come up. Are you guys gonna open the pool?
Mhm.
And
Well,
Well, you know, the
is
problem
the
is. we gotta
clubhouse gonna
open
be
the pool.
open? Is the clubhouse gonna be
it
open?
relates to a number of things, which I'd like to discuss later. There
Go ahead.
are professional organizations for community situations like us that are trying to get immunity legislation to help protect us. But I have to tell you, what they're realizing is executive orders from the governor and from the Department of Health. At this point, we still have to abide by those.
Of course.
The problem may be lessening, but it's not going away.
Listen, I listened to what's his name today, the governor today. He had a
Cuomo.
date. No, and
No,
he
not Cuomo.
Murphy.
He had a date.
He had a date.
I don't mean that.
He had a play date. But you know, they're talking about maybe Memorial Day, things are gonna change. If there's enough vaccines in arms, you know, it's gonna happen. People are gonna
Yeah.
want to.
But Frank, keep in mind, we're tied up by our insurance quite a bit. And
Yes,
things
we
may
are.
change drastically, but if our insurance doesn't cover the things that we need coverage for, the D&O policy and all that,
Oh, yeah, right. I agree with you.
it's not
I'm
gonna help
with you.
us.
We could save this conversation for next meeting. Well, we need to have a solid plan about the pool this year because we're gonna get a lot of blowback, especially if other communities open pools and we don't.
Well, that's what we have to see what's gonna happen. You're
Yeah.
But
correct.
also,
Say,
if I'm not
I
mistaken,
understand there's
we
one.
have to sign the contract with the pool company
Mhm.
for April, and then they open it in May before we get instructions on whether or not we
Right.
can open the pool or not.
Well,
So,
Candlewood next week. So we had Candlewood last year. Tommy DiNardo and other pool companies are calling us. He feels strongly about keeping Candlewood because we never had a chance to use them. And we did vet several companies last year. I could still bring those same companies in because they're calling. Next week, he told me at 4 o'clock today, Monday through Wednesday, he can do a Zoom meeting or a conference call anytime. And then the end of the week, I think he was limited in times. I'll take a look. Do you want me to have procurement have a call with them first, and then bring the board on for a secondary
Correct.
follow-up
Pool-
with
the
the
pool
pool?
meeting?
Always run it through procurement, I think.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Listen, we don't need to have a full meeting for the pool committee. I don't see why.
First thing is, we really need to know what the regs are gonna be, and we
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah,
that.
the problem
That's
is,
what we're
Bob,
gonna find out.
that's
next
gonna
week.
come after
And
we
then
are
we're gonna
required
have
to
to
open
look
the
at,
pool.
but when we're budgeting, we have to look at funding, because if we're gonna have to hire those additional people, that's something we have to look at, because one
Yeah.
place opened, I understand, they had sent a letter out to the community that they're charging
Plaza Grand.
everybody for the pool.
Yeah, Plaza Grand. I told Bob that yesterday Joanne Garrido told me that her friend got an email from Plaza Grand saying that they're gonna open the pool with restrictions and that each homeowner is gonna have to pay more towards it to keep up with the cleaning. So they're doing the same thing, no guests, sign up during a certain time slot, bring your own chairs, and to subsidize the cleaning, they're charging them. I don't know what they're charging
They
them,
have to
but
be vaccinated to use the
Well,
pool?
that's the thing. How could you discriminate though? Like Marie brought that up to me also, because she asked if
Well,
the pool was
I
opening.
was gonna say, is one of the requirements gonna be you have to bring your slip to
I
show
don't
you
know.
were vaccinated to gain
I
entry?
don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
Are we allowed to do
these
that,
are all
though? Is that-
unknowns what it's gonna require right
Are
now.
we allowed to do that though? Wouldn't that be
I
discrimination?
don't
Not
know.
everybody's.
I don't know. You have to
No
wait
one
to
knows. No one
see
knows.
the
Like
regs
Frank says, it's
Yeah.
uncharted. It's
from
uncharted.
the Department of Health and from Old Bridge, and we'll have to see
Yep.
what Jersey says. You got
Yep.
three sources.
Yep.
So it's a
One
lot
thing that
of
goes for
information.
us is we live in an adult community that a lot of the people, residents are getting vaccinated because
Oh,
they're the
yeah.
first, they're first in line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Mark Lip's daughter.
Yeah.
She's
That
doing a
helps.
great
That
job
helps.
helping people, I'll tell you that.
She got me an appointment. She's great.
She's doing a great job. Very, very beneficial.
We should actually do a special call out for him at the HOA meeting for that, to
Yes.
be honest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. She's
Yeah.
fresh out of college and she's
100%.
volunteering. Yeah.
Should we
So.
publicly give him an acclaim for his comment to Norman?
Which one?
Probably
I
not.
love all of them.
Unfortunately, he left a comment on our exchange where Norman could not even read it.
I know. I know, that's what I thought about it. Yeah, we all read it, but it didn't help.
As long as, I think we're going out of order, but I do have a question or two, if you don't mind, before I forget them. Frank, have we ever been billed by our attorney for the balance of the money we owe them for the lawsuit?
So,
The balance of the, yes, we did, and we paid it.
Oh, I didn't, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And yet,
So now I missed that.
and
What
yet,
was the number?
oh, I forget, it was in the, I'm guessing $40,000 something.
Okay, that's great, even better. All right.
However, we've received a bill the month after that, small bill, and then another one just this month for something they had to send something to one of the contractors, signed issue. So I'll share those with you. So
Okay.
we're not out of the woods yet, but we did pay the difference based on the original contract.
Okay.
Good.
And also, Susan, you brought
Yep.
up about cleaning the clubhouse.
Yep.
Is that happening?
yes, it is. We spoke about that, Vin, when you
Okay,
were,
good,
yeah.
Good.
I think I mentioned that, yeah.
All right.
All right, let's
Is there
move to
anything
the-
else, guys? I think, because I know we went out of turn, but
Let's move to number 4, condo buildings. What's this item?
Okay.
inspection option.
That was somebody had emailed me a couple weeks ago. I think it was Frank Benny that wanted to talk about, we don't have to talk about it today, but I put it on because he asked. The
Just a
H-
second, I'll give it.
Okay.
Frank, it was one of your seminars that you gave us the link to. And because we have mid-rises and people don't have their HAVC inspected bi-yearly or yearly, and we have floods in the mid-rises.
Yeah.
That seminar, they demand that people have and show an inspection of their HAV system, just like we have the dryer inspections in this
Yeah.
community.
Well, that's
So
basically.
should
number
we do
4.
that? The question is, should we do that? Because
Number
it's
4
helping
and
us.
number 5, same thing, mandatory homeowners insurance.
Exactly right.
Mhm.
I have not been, Giacomo has not
We need
returned.
legal advice on that, because it's not a rule at this point. Do we have to have a resolution? Do we have to check? with
Yes.
Tom?
We do. And Jamo has not returned one of my 4 phone calls. I don't know what the hell's going on with him, but he has to draw up the resolution.
Right.
And then that's what's we have to require the homeowner.
For both of those items, and then we have to approve it, just like we did at the one
Yeah.
at the last meeting.
Okay.
Okay, but that's something we would like to have
I'll call Jamo
because we're
tomorrow.
saving people money by doing that.
Yeah.
Of course, we have
Yeah,
damage
I
going
mean, they
on.
have to pay for the
Dude,
insurance,
look.
obviously, but we're saving them damage. Okay,
Or their neighbors damaged too.
yeah.
That's
The
right.
mid-rise, it leaks
Yeah.
everywhere. Okay, what's the next one up?
You're checking with Tom on that, Vince?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah, he is.
Gonna contact Tom?
I'll contact Jamo again.
Okay, items 4 and 5.
Yep.
Okay,
Number 6, Mark asked us to put, we have to talk about setting up a possible Zoom account through the association name rather than through Frank Brady or Mark's name.
Well, we should bunch all of them together. We need to have an
Okay.
association email address, first of all. I mean,
Mhm.
that's basic.
Yeah.
We need,
let
I'm
me
sorry?
ask you a question though. How do you get an association email address? It's got to be tied to maybe a Gmail account or something?
Yeah.
It would
Yes.
still be- It would still be
Yes.
tied to a person, wouldn't it?
No,
Anybody
No,
can log in. We could,
association.
yeah, so like
No.
if it's mcbh@gmail.com, I'm just making this up.
right,
We could make up a password and then we could all share that.
correct.
Yeah,
Then we have to pay a certain fee so that the name is ours and it can't be taken again.
Yeah, but it's a few
Like the
dollars,
corporate
Vince. It
name.
doesn't cost
Yeah.
much.
but
Okay,
what about our website? Can we have an email attached to the website already?
No,
email- oh, for the website?
Have the for the e-blast?
it
No,
comes
no, no,
from
no.
Messenger.
The official website of Madison Crossing at Birch Hill.
Mhm.
Is there an email account attached to
No.
it?
No.
But
No.
you can do it through that. You can buy an email account and have it part of that contract for hosting, and you can have an email, an info, it could be info, whatever you want to be, and that way you don't have to go to Gmail.
Okay.
And
So
then
Susan, you have to
we
check with,
you can do
you have to
that.
Yeah.
check with the host on that.
Yep.
Yeah. That way it's all that part of that whole world over
Correct.
there.
Correct.
And then once we have the email, then we could set up a Zoom account, obviously, right?
With
Frank.
the password that we
Right.
decide on, yeah.
Right. We would all share and then.
Well, the other issue on that though is, yes, you can log into it with an email address like I do or like you do personally. But then to get billed,
We would need to have we need to have an association's credit card, which is the next item on this list.
Well,
It's been discussed several times.
Yeah.
it may have been discussed a number of times, but I'm wondering if you have all considered the accounting difficulties with that, for example. Now, I know you like that because you can buy some things rather than have Susan charge her account or Bob charge his account or me charge my account. But if we have a credit card, then in all 3 of those instances, we would charge that account. We would get a statement for the
But
month.
it's itemized statement, and then you could itemize it to the specific general ledger account once you make the payment.
Yeah. It's the same thing as, listen, if I use my credit card, I have to give you an
I
expense
don't know if
report.
I don't know if,
No? If
it's
how do
tied
you
to
guys,
people. It's
what you would then
tied
have
to
to do
each
is write,
There
person.
shouldn't be
journal
that many
entry,
charges on it in the
charge
first
the
place.
correct account. The credit card is not going to charge a GL account.
No, it's not. It's when we make the payment out of the bank account, we could itemize it to specific general ledger accounts, right? That we could make
When we
journal
make the
entries. You
payment
make a
out.
one lump sum payment, and you make journal entries to specific
For
accounts
each of the
where,
items, for each of the
exactly.
items. Okay.
And there shouldn't be that many entries.
exactly.
What I would like to do though is run this by our auditor.
Okay.
And kind of get an opinion on the do's and the don'ts about something like this. Is it advisable? He does 420 associations. So he would have some knowledge of this. Maybe everybody's doing it, but we're not doing it. On the other
We
hand,
did it.
maybe
We
nobody-
did it. We had it for several years. We had a credit card for here.
That's what you said.
I know that, but I wasn't involved with the accounting at that point. I don't really know how it was charged.
Listen, check with
And
your
that was
auditor.
community
But I
management.
think, listen, there are a
Yeah, I
number of
don't
times
remember that.
Susan has to run to Lowe's and Home Depot.
Exactly.
He's laying out money, and I've been laying out money, which is all fine, but not the way to do it.
No, not in 2021.
And not only that,
Exactly.
we're writing checks to board members.
Unbelievable.
And
Well,
if you don't have it, if it's not set up
How do
like
you explain that one?
it's not, we don't do like an expense report sheet where you file it along with the receipt, and that makes it whole
Yeah.
and corporate. Like, I
You
think
do
we
a
need-
check request form.
when we do a check request, yes, we attach
Receipt.
back up to it, a receipt or, the bills that I pay for the Zoom account now.
So the
Behind
case
3
in point
months.
was this. We had to get buckets for the,
Oh, absolutely.
okay? I went on Uline and Bob researched, I researched, we found it. I told Susan, I can lay out the money in my account, but how long is it gonna take me to get it back?
Yeah, there's all kinds of emergencies that
If
come
there
up
was a
all the
credit
time.
card for an emergency, we just type it in.
True.
And you know what?
2 weeks.
I use
wanna
it
be
in my
sure-
own business.
Turned around.
I understand. I want to be sure we can show homeowners who see us doing things, what's going into that account, what's coming out of that account.
You can't, you get a monthly statement. It says Staples
Statements,
accounts.
itemized statements that come in.
Right.
And again, to Vince's
No
point, we're
different than
talking
any other
about
line item. You're right.
several line item, and we're talking about several transactions a month, maybe. It's not that
Right.
many.
It's not that much, no.
Correct.
All right, we have to look into it then.
And the other thing is, like if we have, or then if we go to Staples all the time, open up an account there. Or
We
stuff
had,
like
there,
that.
there were Staples cards, but because
used
they
to be.
weren't used, they closed. I do most of my purchasing at WB Mason. I only run to Staples if I need something right then and there. But most
have
of
an
the
account?
time, I don't buy a whole lot of stuff anyway. I'm pretty frugal in the office, and so, but very rarely do I ever have to go to Staples, honestly.
Okay. So,
All right,
what else?
let's move on.
Okay, we'll have to move
Is
in.
there anything else? I don't think so. Did I miss
There
something?
was one more that we added on. I don't know why some of you got the email and some of you didn't. Frank Brady and myself were talking about the idea of helping everybody and maybe doing like a weekly meeting or twice a month meeting like we're doing now. Instead of doing like sending updates via email or a lot of questions via email, is it easier for everybody to hold off and do a meeting like we're doing today?
I don't think very many people will sign on to these meetings. And I think.
No,
most
this is
people-
just for
Board,
us.
Just
board meetings.
like
Oh.
This is to help you guys.
A weekly,
You think we need a weekly
well, what
meeting?
would that be? That would be general items though, that could be
Yeah.
brought up instead of all the,
Yeah,
emails. That's what your
yeah.
thought was.
Exactly. There's always going to be emails. I mean, you can't avoid that. That's how you communicate. But this way it lessens the amount of emails that go back and forth. It's just a thought to help because we can sum up a week's worth of emails in an hour phone call. So it's up to you guys if
Yeah,
you want
but
to.
are we gonna wait for these weekly meetings and not send emails? Is that
Right.
what the suggestion
Yeah.
is?
You're right.
No, if there's anything urgent, we would have to still send an email, but to give you an update, like for example, I'll give you an update. I got a call today from Five Hernandez, a new homeowner that's moving in on Monday. So tomorrow, I don't have his information yet. Tomorrow, when I meet with him, I have to send you an update on it. Instead, like, let's just say we have a meeting every Monday. I could say, hey, whatever his name is, Gary is moving in, it's up to you guys if you want to.
So it's kind of tough for everybody, I think, to,
You know, Susan, thinking further on it, we could still use that text chain that only the 6 of us belong to for something
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Okay.
that you need to send us an update after your meeting tomorrow with Five Hernandez. If you want to just summarize all your updates in a weekly email to us rather than
Okay.
individual emails multiple times a day, that's
Right.
probably sufficient.
And if there's an emergency, you put an SOS meeting on the board.
Right.
Email
I
out.
do my updates. I've started to do them less. The only times I respond to individuals when we already have group chains going. So I try to keep everything in one place so that it's easy to find the conversation. So
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll limit the updates then to weekly unless it's urgent,
Right.
and I have to let you know.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'd just like to add a last item. I don't know if you are aware, but there are professional organizations, I'll call them professional, for common interest communities, HOAs, and the like. There's a national one that New Jersey has a sub-chapter called CAI-NJ, which is based in Freehold, New Jersey. They have a website, okay? There's a membership fee. I have not joined it, but I go on their website. Membership fee is over $100, so I haven't joined it. But they have a legislative action committee called a LAC is what they call it. And what they've done is the LAC for the CAI-NJ has sent a letter to the New Jersey Department of Health. They sent it back in February. And what they're looking for from the Department of Health is, they said, you must realize we've all had problems last year because of COVID. And many of us, majority, 80%, haven't opened our pools last year because of the Department of Health regulations. So what the letter is asking is to have some of those regulations softened, so to speak, so that possibly we can do things in the future. That's one thing. I can send you a copy of that letter so you can read it yourself and see what's involved. I certainly can't spell out everything that's on it. Furthermore, the LAC monthly sends out what's called the legislative update on what they've worked on. And one of the things they have been working on is a COVID-19 immunity legislation for common interest communities, something that would allow us to be immune from lawsuits.
That's what we need.
On the other hand, in this country, you know this, anyone at any time can sue anybody.
That's
So there's
right.
never protection complete from a lawsuit, but they're looking for immunity, and they want it to be simple. They want it to be for community, common interest communities like us, so that it would soften the information. It might make someone less likely to bring a lawsuit, okay, because there is such a regulation. I can send you the legislative update on that one too. Okay, this is something that I believe way back, maybe before I was here, when I moved in 2009, 2010, Frank and Frank used to belong to the CAI-NJ. It was a budget item. I forget what it cost then, but somewhere along the way, we stopped doing it. It's something that I think as board members, we should be aware of. They also are the ones that sponsor some of these webinars that we have participated in the past. So I'll send you information. Look at that. We are professional as board members.
Okay.
I think we should be somewhat involved in this.
Thanks, Frank.
Makes sense.
All right, guys, I think we are done and I am hungry.
Okay.
Better go
Good
eat.
night, guys.
Good night,
Night, guys.
everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Later.
There.
Bye-bye.